Momentito. Momentito, 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 momentito. Let's put this. Oh, I didn't have it set to IMAX edition. Welcome, Kong and the Walrus Show. Remember, warning, warning, may contain explicit lyrics descriptive or advocating one or more of the following: nudity, Satanism, suicide, sodomy, incest, bestiality, sadomasochism, adultery, murder, morbid violence, or deviant sexual conduct in a violent context, or the illegal use of drugs or alcohol. Parental advisory. Parental advisory. That is all. Remember, you can reach us at kongandthewalrus@gmail.com. Bring it in. Comments, concerns, yeses, nos. What's on your mind? Send it in. Don't forget, we're also on Insta, like the kids say. I'm on Insta at Kong and Walrus. Okay, well, welcome, welcome, welcome. You're straight from the heart. All right. Thanks everyone for joining us today. Kong and the Walrus Show. We're gonna make it happen. All right. So here we are. Once again, beautiful days. Oh, yeah. So, let's do this.
So, what's on the agenda for today?
All right. So, I'm gonna kick it off here. Tell me about our metal hearts.
Do we have metal hearts?
Do we? Let's find out.
Well, I mean, we have iron in our blood, so I guess technically we have metal hearts.
I think so. You know, in this in this time, this age that we live in, I think you have to have a metal heart. In order to survive. You know, I think like as soon as we leave the house, this should be like the first song that starts playing like from like nowhere. Oh man, take it down, take it down, take it down. What the fuck? Whoa! I have a theme song and it's coming from nowhere. Wow! And y'all, you know, marching out like yeah, like a Viking. Like I said, you have to have a metal heart.
To live in this world, you have to have a metal heart.
Otherwise, you're just gonna get sucked in by the violent, vicious vacuum. So I played you a little piece earlier.
Nice little segue in there.
I'm not sure if we're ready for a segue. Let's throw in a segue. So, if you have a metal heart, do you also have to have Chidavaz? Because when I think of that, I mean, I can't help but to think of this. Momentito. This is unless I'm misunderstanding Tidavaz. Tidavaz! That's what you wrote. Tidavaz! So let's talk a little bit, a lot of bit.
Tits of ass, is a little play on words, but of course, titulars of Astalon that I propose, and I think it's only befitting of remembering the fallen warriors of metal. Or maybe I'm just being too traumatic. I don't know.
Hmm. Now let me, because I interpreted tit of as just like it is, boobies and bottoms.
Boobies and bottoms,
Boobies,
huh?
tit of as, boobies and bottoms.
Well, I
Or
mean, if you want to start there, I guess
boobies
we
and a
could
bottom.
start with Marshall Zazula. If you want to start with boobies and and bottoms, nice little stretch there.
No, 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 no. It was pretty remarkable how they uh, started, Megaforce and
Well, it was her and her husband, but still.
yeah,
Uh, I mean, who would think to sign these bunch of kids that are screaming and making a bunch of noise, I mean, 20 years later, or how many long has it been now? 30, 40 years later, we got Metallica, Slayer, Testament, all bands we never would have heard of. And she just passed away last year, but I mean, just
I was gonna say, I think one of them passed her.
yeah. But even she was already in her 30s when the whole metal thing hit, so that says a lot. I mean, how many people get into metal in their 30s?
Metal on, my boys. But who can forget? Again, out of all all of the great artists that came out of Megaforce,
I don't know. I'm getting old. I forget stuff.
well, one stands out, of course. Slayer, one of the pioneers of thrash metal. But more importantly, the loss. Once we lost Jeff, it was just
Yeah, it seemed like it was all downhill after that.
yeah.
But I mean, even then, I'm sure that think about your whole career goes down the drain when you get a spider bite, and then you still have to deal with that you can no longer play. I mean, that
Hmm.
within itself. I mean, if it's you and I, like, oh well, I can't play no more. But we're talking about freaking Jeff Hanneman.
I mean, I couldn't help but to, you know, that one kind of hurt, man. It kind of hurt.
Joining my quest makes life all but dirt. Banning the world wave of stew. Spewing out death with the evil I churn. Awaken the death from the tomb.
This
Laughter to lost the sensations I felt.
Jeeves,
Exploring the pleasures of sin.
can I have a towel?
Making the so I win. Unleash on my burning wrath. Potential killing machine. Take down all who block my path. Enjoying all of the speed. Born of fire.
A bad liver and a fucking spider bite, son of a bitch.
Prince of all darkness initiation, richly baptized in flame. Next to the throne, my abomination, spread there throughout my domain. Master the outside controls the impure, inherit the infamous key. Thousands of centuries I will endure, tyrant of all prophecy. Some have called me Satan's son.
So much music that he wrote, man.
Wealthy fury, the second to none.
So much.
How to confine, born of fire.
Oh man. Where's the Jeff Hanneman Museum?
Whoever owns all his music and Metal Maniacs and whatever else he came out on, Circus. Was it Metal Circus? Circus Metal? I forgot what it was called.
Oh yeah, circus.
All the dead must rise again when twilight
So what you think about Phil Spector?
Splattered ribs, you'll find my dead blood dripping from the wall. Dream born of desire, shape forged within the fire. Pushing warp to raise thy seed, the world corrupt insanity.
If somehow Born of Fire connects with Phil Spector,
Lifeless figure, burning cat, escape the ether, lost of those who trust the liar. This is son of Born of Fire.
not to say he's a bad man, because you know he's did some bad things.
Yeah,
But
but
he
like
also-
I always say, is like slave
always-
owners. Yeah, they're bad people, but they also did a lot of good things. They built cities, you know, they built fucking sound foundations, and you know all kinds of corporate. Well, at least that's what they tell us. But I mean, so did he or didn't he? I mean,
Yeah.
hell, I mean, you're talking about the Ramones, Righteous Brothers, the Beatles, John Lennon, George Harrison. I mean, Tina Turner. I mean, his resume is impressive, but he killed somebody.
You can't do that.
Well, you know, unfortunately, I think some people think they can. I guess you reach a level of success and power and wealth that you think you can get away with anything for the right price. But where would we be without him? You know, it's one of those things. You could say, "I wish he was never born," and then we wouldn't have all this right here.
Yeah. Now he's the one with the crazy wigs, right?
Yeah, I think it was him.
The big curly
Damn.
puff.
And he just died. Damn, in January 16, 2021. 1939, New York City. Damn it.
I wonder if they're auctioning that wig.
I'm sure it goes for a pretty price.
That thing was big and mean.
What do you call it? Since we're talking about murderers and stuff, you know, some of us out here like a little bit of the serial killer memorabilia and apparel. I give a shout out to Chambers. They got a few little tidbits that I thought were kind of cool. One in particular. Just for you.
Oh. Oh, yeah, I started following them, man. They have some cool stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I must have skimmed through that one.
That was the first thing that I caught. But,
Nice.
damn it.
Ba-doom doom.
So sometimes we have to accept things. Sometimes we don't have to accept things. Well, how do you feel on that?
Well, I mean it. Specifically depends on what I need to be specifically liking or not liking. Agreeing or not agreeing with.
Is that accepting or accepting?
Oh, that's one. Oh. With the
Or,
T.
or accept?
No, two. Oh, wait. Hold on. I think I know this one. Accept means to hold back. Accept means to agree to take or something.
And accept?
You're making it. You're saying you're restricting something from the conversation.
Okay, then how do you?
Except
You
no
got
balls. Except no balls. Except
except you have to
also
accept that there is
everything
no
no
balls.
balls. No balls.
Well, sometimes you know your balls are to the wall
Kids,
and you ain't got a choice.
motorbikes in the trunk, no balls. Except no balls.
How about if it's just really large hemorrhoids?
Um, Mr. Ramirez, I need for you to accept the fact that you're a pervert. Señorita, I will never say that I will accept me being a pervert. What is wrong with looking into department store windows at the mannequins? Well, Mr. Ramirez, the problem with that is you weren't staring at mannequins. You were staring at the staff putting up the display in a very creepy fashion. Let me ask you a question, lady.
Like that movie Mannequin?
Was I wearing pants? Mr. Ramirez, that's the issue. You were not wearing pants. And then they took them away. So there. I hope that clears it up a little bit. Except, you're not bringing your balls. Except, you can't play country music on the road trip.
Oh man, thank you. That's a beautiful rule.
Bang, 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 bang,
Yeah,
bang,
you know,
bang.
I can do it for a few minutes, maybe 2 songs, 3 songs, maybe 5 songs if it's old school country, you know, or outlaw country. But anything after that, all bets are off, man. Suicide and fucking homicidal rampages fucking on the table.
When the sun goes down on my side of town, that lonesome feeling close to my
Yeah,
door.
but those are classics. I mean, that's what I'm saying. You know, I can handle some of them, but some of that other stuff, I'm just like, give me a knife, a gun, something. You know, where's my dog?
It's
I
ladies.
don't even have a pickup. Let me go find a pickup real quick.
It's ladies' night. Will drinks $1 for the next 4 minutes.
There's 1,000 people in line.
Give me 10.
Give me 10. You remember the good old days where, you know, during the happy hour, 25-cent wells and shit like that, we'd go buy $10
Friend,
worth.
behind the friend. We'll all get 3. We'll all get 3, huh?
No, I'm talking about the ones we used to put to the side and stuff for later.
Oh, yeah. It was like a mini enterprise.
Man, we had to hustle, man, but we made good money. Even by today's standards, that's good money.
Get there early, figure out your plan. Boom, you're set.
Your plan of attack and attack.
Oh, man. Oh. A good times are rolling. Diggle, do. Okay. So there you go. That's the distinction.
Do y'all have flies in Oregon?
It flies?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. Big fat ones for some reason.
Well, you know, everything's bigger over there, too, so I don't know.
But it's weird, man. Some of them are just like heavy and they're just like.
Now I see why the crows and the seagulls are so big over there.
I mean, you know, sometimes you get the zippy one.
Yeah.
But then. I was like, I'm too heavy for this. Oh, I can't make it.
Oh man, the freaking flies out in the desert. I mean, they're just like regular sized flies, but they sound like little jet engines every time they flew by you. You know, like a. I was like, what the hell is that?
because they're cut, dude. The sun, know,
Well, the
the
winds are
sweat.
high over there too, so everything's bigger. It has to
Yeah.
adapt and overcome.
Right, right.
That's why I'm fluffy. I adapt and overcome.
It's like over here, man. I can't make it. Where's the dead fruit at?
I will say Bug's Life really like changed my whole perspective on on insect life.
Mhm.
And just say I look at everything a little different. You can actually hear the flies screaming when they hit the zapper.
That's all.
Along with the crackling, it just sounds like Frankenstein.
Somebody bump into me. Just fly into me. I'm going down. Damn. He was big.
That's what she said.
No.
I mean, big. I'm not gonna bring up old wounds, but yeah, that big.
Why'd you have to say that? That's not fair. Da-dum-dum-dum.
Speaking of big and uncomfortable, man, I think we need to move on.
Well, speaking of big and uncomfortable, let's talk about men's restricted dress today versus 100 years ago.
Yeah, man, no kidding, man. It seems like everything these days is real tight. You got those skinny jeans and crap.
Like a side bulge sticking to your leg.
That's because of the humidity.
Oh, that's right. Ah, damn.
Too many slaves in this world, direct torture and pain. Too many people do not see. They're killing themselves, going
Imagine if that shit made a comeback.
Too many people.
We're bringing back 1922.
All I can say is that people were better dressed back in those days. They actually took pride in their dress, man. Compared to the pajama pants I see
yeah.
now these days with freaking flip flops at the mall.
Because at the time, it was about sophistication.
Yeah, but even when you look at
It was about Paris. Paris.
if you look at the gangsters from like the early
Paris.
1900s, man, even like the mobster
Fashion.
gangsters were all dressed nice, pinstripe suits and Stacey Adams and stuff.
Fashion. Paris. That's why. Paris. Everybody imitating Paris back then. Paris. Paris. Le Paris. ¿Dónde está Le Oui Oui?
Stuck to the leg.
Ugh, with duct tape? Ugh.
No, just humidity. It goes like this, and it does not move.
Oh, now see, that right there, dog. Mm-hmm. Give me a couple of those. They look very loungy, very comfy, very colorful.
I mean, it's just,
very colorful. Oh,
you know,
I
I'm,
like
I'm
it.
old school. I like guayaberas and stuff.
Who doesn't like guayabera, man? Cuba, Cuba, Cuba. ¿Dónde está la camisa de la Cuba, Cuba, Cuba? Quita la camisa, Cuba, Cuba, quita, Cuba.
Man, where you been hanging out at, man?
¿Dónde? Cuba, Cuba, Cuba.
I don't know where I'm from. It's like, mijo, ¿quieres una guayabera? I was like, sí, tía. Okay.
Ya, Hermin. Dale el chale. Yeah, I like those. Except, I should go out somewhere to, display that kind of shirt. Look at me. Look at me in my guayabera.
Yeah. I just remember my grandpa every time. I mean, he was a mechanic, so he always wore Dickie uniforms. But later in life, it went transferred to from Dickie pants. Well, it was still Dickie pants, but now it was a guayabera. Assorted colors, all earth tones. But he always looked cool. Doesn't matter if he was working or just sitting out smoking a cigarette. And probably was cool too. Now that I think about it in hindsight.
So, what? I
The reason we're even on this subject,
what? Oh, what?
well, I went to a show the other night, and I mean, inevitably you see one guy in a freaking kilt, all right? But there was several guys in a kilt, so I'm assuming the kilts are making a comeback, right? So I walk up to a guy,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I go, "Can I ask you a question, man?" The man, he was with his girlfriend. He's probably like about late 20s or so. He's like, "Yeah." And I go, "Do you get proper airflow down there?" He's like, "Oh, hell yeah." He goes, "Of course." He goes, "I gotta be, what did you say? I gotta be civil and wear underwear." But yes, there's proper airflow down there. So it got me thinking. I'm like, wow, how come we went to pants? Whose bright idea was it to go to pants? Because if you look at the ancients, they all wore robes or some kind of kilts or something, So something
I
happened.
mean, if somebody were to ask me if I would wear a kilt, no disrespect, but I don't know. I'd fucking wear that red thing first before I wear a kilt. Go back.
Which one?
Kong and the Walrus.
The
show.
Roman one?
Men's dress edition. Yeah,
Well,
red
yeah,
one.
but look, see how everybody looked elegant. I mean, look at the Kung Fu Master, man. He was able to whoop some ass, do flips and shit, and all in the comfort of some fucking flowing robes. And I'm sure he had pants underneath, but who knows what they were made of. They allowed him to do a Chinese split and all kinds of crap. Without the schlong, hanging out or whipping out or something. Unless it was a secondary defense, after he did the flips, like, "Shtaka!"
Mm-hmm.
See, I don't know. I've always liked the, I guess it's a Paco Indo-European dress. Very
Oh, yeah.
stylish.
Yep. Now see, I'd be rocking the one in the bottom with the black and the white. I'd be doing that. I'd be doing that.
Yeah, I'd
I'd
probably
be
do any one of those. I'm not much of a red, but I might be able to rock one of those.
But I can't have anything on my head. I get sweaty. Then what do I do? Is it rented? Is it mine? Then I gotta clean. You know what I mean? So now it's gonna be in the closet, and it gets special. I gotta get it dry clean.
Yeah, that's
If
true.
it's rented, other people. It's the whole thing.
All right, fine.
But again.
How about the Middle
yeah.
Eastern robes right there? Linen,
Yeah, dog. Shoot.
multi-layering.
Commando underneath, a little sheet at the top. Yeah, dog.
So you would go without the hat?
Without the hat, but it's gotta be thick enough so that way when you're kind of walking around, your carrot's not sticking out like, hey, this guy's got a boner.
Oh man, speaking of carrots sticking out, man.
And
Fuck
if you want
it.
to go to pants underneath,
I was cutting through downtown. It's about 11:30 or so at night, and
don't be doing helicopters.
so there's always, especially by the bus station, there's always a slew of freaking homeless people out there, right? So here goes this guy across the street. All he's wearing is pajama pants. That's it. Fleece pajama pants. It's not cool. It's kind of humid night. And this dude's got a freaking donkey erection while pushing a cart across the street. And there's like, people everywhere and shit. He don't even give a fuck, man. He's just like, doo, 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 doo. He's like, yeah, that's me. But yeah, kind of interesting now. I'm kind of wondering about these robe idea now.
Let it speak for itself.
Strap dress man. Hey, whatever happened to smoking jackets, man? Wonder if they fall out of style.
No, it's not that they fell out of style. It's just people aren't sophisticated enough to wear those now.
Is that what it is? Right. Okay, Miguel. So today we're going to discuss the social and political arena of the world. How do you feel about that?
Well, it depends on which Miguel you're asking, the rational or the irrational one.
Is there a difference? I thought it was one and the same.
Fucking night and day.
You're irrational. You're irrationally irrational, and
Like a
you're
big
irrationally
baby,
irrational.
Yeah, I don't give a shit. I'm gonna get my point across.
Yeah, I'm always trying to get my point across, but nobody wants to get my point, if you know what I mean.
Why are you always mad? I'm not mad. I'm just trying to get my point across, and you're stupid because you don't understand.
That's why I use graphs. Colorful graphs.
Listen, next time you're just gonna have to draw me a picture because words don't work for you.
And let's not forget about our ancient ancestors who were just a lot more comfortable and cool back in those days.
See, right there in the middle. Right smack dab in the middle, except without the headdress.
Give him the damn headdress, man. What's up with that?
The sweaty and the thing, you know. Again, I got the dry. It's gonna sit in the closet. Is it rented? You know, other people sweat. It's the whole thing.
But don't you own Kango hats?
A few. Yeah, and those get washed. Thankfully, I can put them in the washer and they'll be okay. Now, hats. Now, I came to a realization that, and I haven't figured out yet which one works best, but I don't look good in certain hats.
Yeah, I agree.
Like I'm sure almost anybody can rock like a cowboy hat, right?
I mean, I look good in it, but I can't wear it.
Yeah. That's why I said most.
Yeah. Now, a straw hat I could wear. That don't bother me. I guess because it breathes more for the same reason. I guess hot.
Straw hat. A straw hat, dude? Oh, doesn't that itch? Isn't it itchy?
No, because it has that leather band around. Well, if you get a good straw hat, it has a leather band around it.
Again, the leather band, stinky, gets sweaty. Then is it gonna sit? Of course, it's yours. It's gonna sit in the. Are you gonna wash it? Is it? Because even if you wash it,
Look, I'll tell you
it
this.
has a pungy. It says tiny pungy.
There's
Tiny pungy.
There's two secrets.
Tiny pungy.
One is a bandana, and the other one is a napkin right on the rim.
Well, I mean, yeah. But still, dude, you're still gonna get residual. Come on.
Just
Hey, don't be naive.
Look, just go to Mexico, buy you a case of fucking bulk hats. You can throw them away or give them away. You're like, hey, look, hat for you. It's only been used once.
Ven para acá, muchacho. Ven para acá. Ven para acá. Tengo un sombrero. Ven para acá. Mami.
Hey, you could turn it into an enterprise and just put like your logo on it and then sell them. They were quality tested. Don't mind the little sweat ring in there.
I don't like that idea. Oh.
I don't know. I either want to go with either option. We either go back to Primal Ancient or at least post Primal Ancient.
Well, Yeah, yeah. I mean, ancient is good.
I mean, hell, they dressed
Hmm.
this way for hundreds, thousands of years. Why did it change all of a sudden? You don't see no friggin' rock carvings with people with top hats and tuxedos on, or speedos.
Well, it's the same thing with cannibalism and vampirism. It's like, when did that change? Because that was a normal at some point.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say it's the normal, but
Nah,
it
I'm
happened.
not saying 1700s. I'm talking about like old times,
Yeah,
like
I'm
a
talking
lot
like
of times ago.
yeah, I'm talking like freaking way, 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 way back in the day, thousands of years even.
Like when AD and BC met, or before or after, or one of those stupid things, whatever.
Yeah, well, that was kind of the weird thing because when I started looking around, I mean, I already knew a couple of things, but there was articles in the Washington Post.
Like uh, human sacrifices, and all this thing was like kind of acceptable at some point.
Well, it wasn't necessarily acceptable. That was the problem that it was done, but for whatever reason, I mean, it's never been acceptable. And I mean, it still happens, but doesn't mean it's acceptable. What the hell am I doing here? Oh, yeah. I looked up real vampirism, and it came up like in New Orleans. There's a whole community.
Oh yeah, dude. New Nolans.
In Atlanta
Dude,
too. They actually collect blood. People actually give them blood.
I believe it.
But let's talk about the true vampire. How about the blood center? Do they
Oh
really need all that blood that they collect?
well,
And what do they do with it?
they must use it for something. Blood
But but
transfusions,
even
maybe.
then, look, they make you donate it and they turn around and sell it. Think about that too. But do they use all of it? That's what
Oh,
I'm saying. Millions of people donate millions of pints of blood. We're talking about thousands of gallons or hundreds of thousands of gallons.
so what makes you think that there's a shortage, or like that they're hoarding blood, or what? What? I mean, what?
My thing is, my problem was, why do they make you donate it and then they charge you for it when they ever put it in you?
What do you mean they charge you? They
When you
give you money.
when you need a blood transfusion at the hospital for if you need surgery or whatever, they charge you per pint.
Oh,
That's what
oh
I'm
yeah,
saying.
dude.
Yeah, but what do
Dude,
they give you? $20, $25? Ain't shit, and they charge you 2,500.
that's dude, you're talking about another monster altogether. You're talking about
A
insurance.
vampire sucks the
They
life,
are
the money,
vampires.
the blood,
Insurance,
everything out
they're
of you.
vampiros. If you're gonna if you're gonna donate plasma, they give you money, and then go to the hospital when you need the fucking plasma. They charge you $2,500. That's not on anybody other than the fucking insurance and the hospital.
Now, the other thing that I was finding was that, well,
That's
about 15 years ago, I heard of a company called Ambrosia.
mm, ambrosia. Is it one of these like discreet little building places that are named something, and they're plotted on the map or something, but then you go knock on their door, they don't want to talk to nobody, and it's all like secretive.
Now, this one I marketed to the rich folk, something like $1,200 a pint of blood. They had done experiments where they took the blood of a young rat, less than a year old, and put it into a rat that was 8 years old.
Mm.
And they realized after the transfusion that the old rat regenerated and became younger. Its cells, the fibers, the nerves, everything regenerated like it was 10, 20 years younger, something like that. And
I
so then they took it to the next level and they pumped the old blood into the young rat, and the young rat aged. So after that, they started doing human experiments. First, they were taking 16-year-old or teenagers, with parental consent, and anybody over 18. And like I said, the $1,200 blood was the over 18-year-old. But if you want a younger blood, then you're talking 8 to 10,000 for a pint. So apparently, they got shut down in 2019 by the FDA, and then he just reopened again last year.
the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. What about fucking stem cells, man? No. Get 16-year-old blood.
I was gonna save
Stem
that for
cells,
another.
huh?
I was gonna save that for another day, but we can talk
I
about it
swear,
briefly.
fuck the blood. Fuck the blood, dude. Stem cells.
Yeah, but
man.
where do they get stem cells from? The aborted babies.
Bitchy babies?
Yeah, so I mean that's why they're so adamant about legalizing abortion, because that's a free stream from Planned Parenthood, straight into the system. Oh, look for research. Oh, look for research. Everything's under the pretense of research. Where else are they getting the baby stem cells from? They have to be from somebody who hasn't been born yet because they haven't been assigned. They have to be non-assigned stem cells in order for them to work with what they wanted. But nobody puts one and one together and gets 2 or 4 or whatever.
Yeah, I don't. I think there's other ways that we don't know about that.
Now,
they can
this blew my fucking mind. This was years ago. This was probably back in the '86. There was a doctor in Russia, an Israeli doctor in Russia, that had cut up a strand of DNA into a bunch of pieces and then put it in 10 test tubes of distilled water and put photon light on it. And like a day later, he goes back, and each test tube had the same DNA, complete sequence of DNA in each test tube. All right, so then he took it further, and he just projected light through the water to another test tube, and that test tube developed DNA, the same copy of the DNA. So then he took it a test further. He sequenced the DNA through light, faxed it to Argentina, and they were able to replicate it up to 98.6%. So DNA is light based. So yeah, when you start talking about stem cells or whatever, yeah, imagine what else they're doing with it. Imagine what else we can do with it. But that tripped me out right there, where the DNA is just light activated. It's like photocopying it or faxing it.
Let me see.
Oh, there it is. 8,000 to fill your veins with young blood. Still the same dude. He just changed the name of the company.
Well, that
See, that's from
right
2019.
there.
See? So, I mean, it's not even made up. I mean, they're doing it. They've been doing the research. Who knows for how long? It's not something new.
So what's the deal? Why he's shuttering the company?
Yeah, because he was shut down back in 17, and then he came back. I guess that's why he's reshuttering the company, because he's changing the name on it or whatever, rebranding it. But it's still the same shit. See, it says 16 to 25-year-olds. But this one, the Cannibal Club, man, this is the one that tripped me out, man. You want some spaghetti?
Oh.
You got pen pasta with meat sauce, a delicious meat sauce made from heirloom tomatoes, served with our multigrade pen noodles. Sounds so good, doesn't it?
Yeah, I hear the meat of a human is pretty tough.
Oh, if you cook it like barbacoa, I mean, you make some taquitos.
Limon, let it sit for a few hours. Worcestershire.
Worcestershire. I stopped using Worcestershire. I forgot what it tasted like. Yes, I'm sorry. I broke your heart.
Kong and the Walrus show. Worcestershire sauce non-addition.
See, look, me personally, I like my meat natural. Maybe a little bit of salt and pepper, because it's always sweet underneath,
Mm-hmm. Is where's that? Is that an actual place? Has to be if they have them.
Yeah, it was. There was actually two at one time. I think they closed the one in L.A. But there was three. It was New York, D.C., and L.A. When I originally looked into this a few years ago, it was three. But I think they've already closed a couple of them down.
Shit, they'd make a killing in Houston, man.
Yeah, like literally, figuratively.
Uh,
Like, who's to
got,
say they're not already doing that shit?
got another truckload for you, boss. Put them in the back. Put them with the goats. Some chili.
Chili.
Some-
Homemade or some fucking store bought chili?
Some human chili. Without the beans.
Yeah, definitely without beans. You know, that's weird. If I make chili at home, I put beans in it, but if I buy chili for hot dogs, I don't like beans in my chili. Does that make sense?
I forget about chili on the hot dogs.
It's been a long time since I had freaking chili and hot dogs. It's hard to find a good hot dog these days.
Hey, let me ask you a question.
Mm.
Does a chili dog become a chili dog when you pour chili over a hot dog?
You ask complicated questions. I mean, what else would it be? No, because you could literally just put it on a plate and pour chili over it. It would still be a chili dog,
Hmm? Yeah.
unless you're poor. Then you just get a slice of bread, put the wiener on top, cheese, slice of cheese, and then the chili.
Yeah. So if you so it's all about the form. If
Yes.
you break it apart and you put it on a plate and it's the bread over here, the hot dog over here, the chili's all over the place.
Chili's
That's
the
nice.
chili's gonna go all over the place anyway.
Yeah.
Pinche chili dog.
The questions keep me up at night. Don't get me started on marshmallows. I don't understand
You
marshmallows.
know what? My world. I started viewed life differently a few years ago when an all natural, fucking organic trail mix bar, with freaking nuts and oats and honey and had M&Ms in there. One of the kids, I lived on a corner, so the kid dropped it in her ass. I'm mowing the lawn, and there's a ant pile right next to it, but the ants are nowhere near that Nutri-Grain bar. And I was like, well, fuck, if it's supposed to be so healthy, why aren't the ants eating it? They eat everything else, right? You drop a piece of fruit on the ground, a piece of food, they're all over it, right?
Hmm.
So last year, what do you call it? We were camping out in Huntsville State Park, and it was, I don't like marshmallows. Uh, the kids like them, whatever. So the one that fell on the ground, that was right by the fire pit, but there was a ant bed like right against the fire pit because it was winter, so they stay warm. I didn't bother them; they didn't bother me. They wouldn't even get near that damn marshmallow. They wouldn't touch it. They went around it. It was weird because you see the path going straight towards it, and then it split around it like that. And I was like, well, okay. After that, I started paying attention to what I eat and what's in the ingredients in there, especially the processed foods.
And don't get me started on this marshmallow fluff.
What the fuck is marshmallow? Oh, you're talking about that big old white fucking whatever.
in a jar?
Don't even. It's Cool Whip. My sister dropped a brand new Cool Whip. All right, outside, middle of summer. It fell out. The lid fell out, and the whole thing just fell around the ground. Right. That thing kept its shape for a week. It didn't melt. It didn't do anything. Flies didn't get near it. Ants didn't get near it. It just stayed there like this for a week till I went over there and scooped it up and fucking threw it in the trash. I thought I was gonna, it even rained and it didn't do anything.
Do you did you ever think that maybe the ants are getting wait, don't
Diabetic.
sophisticated?
Well, then
What is we're not go, what is that? We're gonna go where the good stuff is.
Well, yeah. Well, then I would have to rethink the seagulls, especially around the Gulf Coast around here. Uh, they don't want lettuce. They don't want carrots. They want chicken wings. They want pizza. Whatever. They want taco. They want tortilla. Man, they'll fight for it to the death too. You throw a piece of freaking vegetable out there or fruit, they ain't gonna even. They'll just walk away.
Mm.
So it makes you think. I don't know. Are they becoming more picky?
Well, it sounds like it.
That's what tripped me out, man.
It absolutely sounds like it.
Oh man. So sometimes you have to just sit back and observe nature and uh, just laugh, really.
So, do you think with the nature there's, you know, like depression or anxiety or addiction? You know,
I,
depression and addiction.
you would have to think, okay, beached. Look, what always gets me is the beach whales or sharks or whatever else.
I mean, like insects.
That's depressing enough, man. Because
Think
if
about
you want
insects.
if you want to get laid, you're gonna get eaten afterwards. So I mean, like that's a tough choice to make. It's like you want
Can
to just go
ins-
live with the thought of it or die.
can insects be broken? That's the thing.
I've seen broken insects and they still work.
Like little fly counselors. Like a parking mall, a long parking mall, and then each of the section has the different insects you can go to for treatment, like caterpillars, ants, butterflies, uh, the cockroaches. You know what I'm saying? Because
They're
that's what I would like to know.
they're called ant and roach motels.
No, 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 no. No, 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 no,
They
no.
can go there for a relaxing
Those,
time.
hey, hey, hey. Those are for a good time, Holmes. You remember the Hutex? And that's it. Thank you very
Man,
much.
you know
Mic
what,
drop.
man?
See you later.
The Hugh Tags was like that was like we're gonna have a party. Let's go rent a room. And we used to go fucking rent a room and throw a motherfucking party.
No, man, even no, 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 no. Yes, yes, but there's at some point we're like, hey, let's go to the Hutex. Let's see what's going on.
Yeah.
Boom, something
You
was
find
up.
us up. Something was always up, man.
Yeah. Oh, where you guys going? The Hutex. Ah, la chinga. Let's go. We'll follow you.
There was a
Remember?
party
I will
wait-
follow you.
There was a party waiting to happen, man. It was always all kinds of cool shit going on back in the day. And we didn't kill ourselves or
And
anything.
ladies and gentlemen, we're not talking about Disneyland type of activity.
No, no, nothing like that.
Think of it as a raunchy Disneyland without the rides, without all the conveniences.
Yeah, before internet and computer age.
Oh yeah.
Well, there was computers around, but it was just for rich folk.
No. So, when talking about that, the remedies.
Well, it kind of depression is such a big topic. We talked about it last week. We talked about it some today. But when I went looking for depression medications, I was like, I was taken aback because all these names, they come out on these freaking commercials. Every minute there's always a commercial for one of these freaking Zoloft, Prozac, Celexa, Lexapro, Paxil, Trazodone, Xanax, Valium, Diazepam, and Amplify. And I'm like, damn, is it that bad? So I looked up suicide rates, just to get an idea of, is it really that bad or is it something else? Besides vomiting, nausea, and the usual side effects that every medicine seems to list. Some of these other ones, I'm like, really? I mean, the thoughts of suicide. I'm like, what's the fucking point of taking that damn pill then? If you're already depressed, thinking about you don't want to live no more, why do you want to take a pill that's going to definitely solidify that? It was Prozac was one of them. Zoloft, uh, Valium, diazepam. Um, some of them cause drooling, seizures, insomnia. I mean, if you can't, you're already suicide. I mean, you're already depressed. You can't sleep. You don't want to take a pill that's going to make you feel more depressed, suicidal, and not sleep. But yeah, I mean, they constantly prescribe this shit, and they fucking advertise the hell out of it. There was two that kind of troubled me, man. Throwing up coffee grounds. What would that be? Your innards rotting?
Um, Signs of blood, yeah.
Yeah, right. And that was the Lexapro. Um, what's the other one?
But see, here's the thing, though, man. You're looking at this just from one tiny speck of it, right? The pills, the pills, the pills.
Well,
Right?
yeah, because I mean, they're new. First of all, I mean, really think about it, in the whole existence of pharmaceuticals. They're very, very new. I mean, fucking opiates are only since the 80s, So we look at all these things that have happened, all these suicides. You see the addictions, kidney damage, coughing up blood, anxiety, muscle spasms, changes in behavior. There was one over here that said abnormal ejaculation, decrease sex. It's called priapism. What do you call it?
Priapism, yeah.
Yeah, priapism, right? And
Percadic.
Prick a dick. Okay, so yeah, and like most of these is like, what the hell? Like, you're gonna get me more depressed. There was some that say you see rainbows, and I'm like, well, fuck.
Well,
I'm
hold
like,
on. Whoa. Okay, so let's reel it in because the fish took on the line. So we're talking about. Uh, so let, so let's finish up the drug and depression aspect of this first, because
okay.
the pain's somewhat a little different.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm getting at. That it's just two different. They're throwing. I don't know. It's like throwing freaking needles at a freaking dartboard. It's not really doing anything. They're just making it worse or agitating it. Instead of actually trying to solve the problem.
Well, so these drugs that they prescribe are known as SSRIs, right? They're made to work on a particular um, part of the function in the brain.
Correct.
So so not every person's different, right? That's obviously that's one. Number two, like at what level of what was the severity level of their depression or addiction that they went to seek treatment for? Was it so far advanced that the treatment didn't work, and even with the pills, that's one, right? So the other thing is, different people react differently to different medications, and it's all about each medication has a different component, right? And sometimes, the the dosage of the medicines is just not enough, right? And it just like opioids, you can't give somebody all of these hundreds of milligrams at one time. You create all kinds of huge issues. So you wouldn't necessarily keep upping the medication. It's more of a medication along with self evaluation, making changes in your life, your routine, you know, really getting deep into your mind and trying to figure out what is the root cause of these thoughts that are bringing this depression in. And, a lot of it is the coping mechanism, right? People don't have the coping mechanism to, you know how to like deal with things that happen, bad things that whatever can sink you down into this negative space, this dark spot. So
Yeah, but my thing is, it's like if you already have a chemical imbalance, why are you going to throw more chemicals, synthetic chemicals, on it? Wouldn't you want to balance your body naturally, balance your mind naturally? And the reason I say this is because, I mean, from what I was looking at, well, just a coincidence, the suicide rates in the last fucking 40 years, 35, 40 years, have doubled if not tripled previous to that, and that's why I brought up the issue about pharmaceuticals, because the pharmaceuticals were introduced around the same time period, and you can kind of see the correlation between the two. But my thing, I've always been, there was a time period where what do you call it? I hurt my back and I was just popping whatever people gave me. I was taking aside from Aleve and ibuprofen and Celebrex and whatever experimental things were working at the time. And I started to develop. My kidneys started to hurt. That was really what I first noticed. So I realized I had to stop. So after that, I had to find alternative methods. Either deal with the pain all the time, or find other ways to deal with it. Some days, most of the time, it's tolerable. There's some days it just really ain't freaking tolerable. But what really hit it home was a few years ago. I went to a market, and here in Texas, it's
like a flea market.
no,
Esta es la pulga, güey.
no,
Voy a ir a la pulga.
even though they do have it at the flea market.
Voy a ir a la pulga de naturaleza, güey.
But it was a craft market actually. And they had some CBD balm. I mean, it was a little thing about this big, like a quarter size, And I freaking smashed my thumb up against the door. I mean, it got swelled up and everything. And I was gonna go put some ice on it. I'm like, let me put some balm on, and then I'll put ice on it. Well, I put the balm on it. I went to the restroom. And I forgot completely about the ice. I forgot completely about my hand until like about 8 hours later when I bumped my hand again and it hurt again. I was like, oh crap, that stuff works, right? So last week I said stumped my toe. It was all swollen and everything. And so I went to a show the other day and I was like, man, it's going to be a long freaking night with a, swollen toe, this and that. So I put some of that balm on there. Man, for 6 hours, I forgot about my damn toe. It even got stepped on and everything. So there's natural remedies to dealing with some of these things, especially like the opiates. Everybody always wants to go take, fentanyl or freaking hydrocodone or acetaminophen or something to alleviate the pain. And I understand in severe cases like surgery, you need that morphine drip, especially if you got cut up inside and all that. Yeah, but even then, I mean, withdrawal through that, a lot of people don't realize that after surgery, you go through withdrawal from anesthesia and then from whatever painkillers you go through. And everybody takes like 2 to 3 weeks before you actually flush your system out. You feel somewhat normal. You're thinking straight again, and I tell you this because aside from, like surgeries I've had, I mean, other things have caused the same effects. But clouding your mind doesn't necessarily help the matters either. Yeah, it helps you forget for a little bit. But yeah, the cannabis. I mean, our brain is designed for cannabinoids, cannabiboids, how do you say that? For THC and CBD, we're gonna leave it like that.
So yeah, CBD, it's kind of a miracle, but it's a little frustrating when people don't understand that. They think they're like ingesting like marijuana. Oh no, CBD. Because it's not what it is.
Yeah, I turned on a older individual that was having a lot of shoulder pain, hip pain, this and that, and said, "Here, try this, whatever." And yeah, she swears by it now, as well as the what do you call it, distillates, because it helps her sleep at night and alleviates the pain she deals with, whatever. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's natural, but yet why was it made illegal? I mean, there was I need to find that freaking thing on on Netflix, the green something or other, where they talk about why it was made illegal and everything else, and essentially boiled down to, hey, I got about 1,000,000 acres of some timber. We should really do something with it.
So yeah, with the medical marijuana, there's a lot of stuff that um they separate it out. Sativa, indica. It'll do this. That'll do that to you. So part of this too is like some of the stuff will give you like anxiety.
Yeah,
You
it's
know.
like the indica will give you what do you call it, anxiety.
Hmm.
Sometimes some strains, but not all strains the same. That's what I'm saying. Because I mean, just because two have a similar name doesn't mean they're going to give you the same exact effects.
Right.
And I mean, some are better than others. Some are. I mean, that's why I tell some people it's like crack. You think like
So
you
that's
just drank 10 cups of coffee, you're ready to go. Other ones, you're like, "Ah, I'll see you tomorrow. I'm going to sleep."
I mean, you know, people know that marijuana, it puts them in a calm state of mind, reflective, all this stuff. And for the most part, it helps people. But you know,
I just
for
always
some,
say
the
that.
side effects are a little bit too intense for them.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, there's some for some people it's a learning curve. I mean, hell, I didn't even know. Growing up, we just it's weed, let's go. We didn't know that there was this. Well, we knew there was skunk and red hair, but I mean, aside from that, I mean, we heard other names or whatever, but it was not something that was common. So took until probably my late 20s, early 30s before I figured out that there was different strains that did different things and everything else.
Hmm.
But to the one
So
individual, it's like I smoked the marijuana. I smoked one.
I smoked one marijuana.
Good. But
So
here,
now, so we're talking about the natural, ways, um, rather than using, prescribed medication, opiates, or what have you. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Oregon's one of the first states to uh, create a program for psilocybin services.
badass.
So from the Oregon.gov website, Oregon Psilocybin Services is a new section housed within the Oregon Health Authority Public Health Division's Center for Health Protection. The Oregon Psilocybin Services section will implement Ballot Measure 109, which was passed in November 2020, and directs the Oregon Health Authority to license and regulate the manufacturing, transportation, delivery, sale, and purchase of psilocybin products and the provision of psilocybin services. So it's kind of a big deal. Like you said, what would be the alternative if this doesn't work?
Well,
I think
but even
this psilocybin.
but like when I'm looking here at the map at the states that's mushrooms are legal, of course Oregon you said was the one, but D.C. Weed is legal in D.C. and mushrooms are legal in D.C. But yet it's illegal for everybody else. Talk about freaking what do they call classism or whatever. I mean, they're the ones that make our laws, but yet for them it's legal, but not for the rest of us. The hypocrisy of it. But aside from that, you got Colorado, California, Washington, Michigan, Maryland, and no, well, D.C., not Maryland, but and then Massachusetts.
I'm
Oh,
I'm 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 so fed up. I'm fed up. I'm so fed up. I'm ticked. I'm freaking ticked. I am freaking ticked off. Because that map says it all.
yep.
And I'm ticked. I'm really ticked, Walrus. I'm ticked.
Well, I know some medication that'll help you calm down, will help relieve your anxiety and your apprehension and everything else.
No, no, no. I have better news. The Oregon Psilocybin Services section will begin accepting applications for licensure on January 2nd, 2023. Until then, the Oregon Psilocybin Services section is in a development period, working to build the nation's first regulatory framework for psilocybin services. This includes establishing rules by the end of the year, developing a psilocybin facilitator training program approval system, license tracking and compliance case management system, securing and customizing a product tracking system, working on online payments for licensees, GIS mapping for compliance work, an equity and justice centered approach on background checks, continuing to hire for our licensing and compliance teams, setting procedures and processes for each of our programs, supporting the Oregon Psilocybin Advisory Board and subcommittees, keeping our websites updated for access to important information, building partnerships with diverse communities, and creating education and training for our regulatory community and the public. So,
did you already apply for your license? You still got time.
I'm already in trials.
Hey, well, until then, you can go across the way there to Vancouver.
I'm already in trials.
I've been researching for
Trial.
decades.
Trial.
Trial and error.
Trial.
Well, see, and that's
Mr. Ramirez, did you take LSD before you came in? Yeah.
well.
This is not gonna work.
Since you want to go there,
LSD. You want your LSD?
okay. LSD was created by a Swiss chemical company called Sandoz in 1938. Okay. So how did it end up in the United States?
One great man brought it to us, I'm sure. In a journey that happened
It was
a long time ago.
It was actually a CIA program that they were experimenting. They recruited 1,600 former Nazis after World War II, and then they used those Nazis and the LSD they had to experiment on Soviet soldiers. And it's called mind control. All right.
Oh,
Yeah, you know where I'm going with that, right? But I thought it was very interesting that it ended up here in the United States around the late 60s in California.
That whole stupid experiment where they took all these stupid, I don't know, CIA, FBI, whatever, out to the cabin, and they did an experiment. They gave them all LSD, and they tripped in this cabin or something.
Yep. Well, that was only part of it, yeah.
Mm.
But they were using Manson as a safe house for the hippies. So they're like, come on down, it's a commune. But they were experimenting and recording everything. They were trying to see how they could influence thought processes, how they could influence behavior. They tried like different dosages or whatever. So I started laughing when the side effects of some of these was seeing rainbows. And I started laughing. I go, well, yeah, you could do that on mushrooms too, but you'd be happy the whole time. You won't have suicidal thoughts. You might see unicorns and who knows what else.
That's true. That's true.
But yeah, I thought it was very interesting that was the only reason that we have here. The other thing is, I knew there's he wasn't a doctor. He was a shaman. That's really what he was, a modern day witch doctor. Terrence McKenna. He got his bachelor's from Berkeley in '67, and then he went to Tibet for a year. And then he went to South America searching for a particular kind of chemical that was like ayahuasca. But instead they found mushrooms there. And then they continued to spend like a whole year and a half there experimenting with the mushrooms. But not just taking the mushrooms. They were actually like meditating. They essentially became shamans. They learned to do exactly what the shamans did. And they found out that they were able to activate the mushroom or activate their DNA to interact with the mushroom. And he has his whole theory. I mean, he did hundreds of talks about it. But it wasn't until recently that Dr. Berg was talking about, fungus in the body. We have so much fungus on our nails and eyes, everywhere, inside our digestive tract and everything. Some of it's good, some of it's bad. It keeps itself in check or whatever. But he started explaining that mycelium the mycelium, which is what the fungi grow out of, is actually the nerve center of the earth. That the first few feet is covered in these fibers in these mycelium, and that one handful of dirt has like 26 miles of mycelium in it. And what the mycelium do is they essentially create a neural system for the trees and the plant life, and they exchange nutrients back and forth. And I was like, wow, so the mushrooms are just the nerves of the earth. And so then we have those nerves within us. So, I mean, essentially everything that's deemed illegal is actually stuff that was made for us. That we're supposed to interact with it. Hell, our ancestors interacted with it for thousands of years, and all of a sudden it's illegal? Just in the last, 60 years, 70 years, something like that? Why? It's like we're unplugged.
That's why.
We're unplugged from reality, I suppose.
It's government, that's why. Simple.
Well, it's not only well, I guess if you call it a government on a global scale, yeah, control on a global scale.
Well, what else is it?
But I thought that there's only 4 cultures that are right now allowed to use hallucinogenics, and it's one in the Amazon, a couple in the Amazonian with ayahuasca. Some people can use the Mazateca people of Mexico can use psilocybin. I know they use peyote here in Texas. But the other one I thought was interesting was I kept saying San Rafael, but it's the San Pedro cactus of South America. But the only reason it's called San Pedro is because a missionary priest, when he went to what do you call it, to that area, went to go study with the shamans, and he went on a trip, and then he changed it to name it after himself. But essentially it was a shaman trip that he experienced. But he called the cactus after himself, so now that's what it's called, San Pedro. But everybody's got their own version of it. Have you heard? Well, I mean, now you hear of suicide amongst Native Americans because of the alcoholism. But prior to alcohol, was there any suicide amongst the natives? Any native across the world? It's a question.
Speaking of alcohol, ladies and gentlemen, calling in the Walrus show. Make sure you're tipping back those libations.
Oh, yes. Speaking of, I came up with a new
We've been having a
cocktail.
fun time for you guys tonight. Oh, this afternoon. Depends on what time you watch the show. We have come to the conclusion of the show. We talked a little bit about this. We gave you information about that.
Yep.
I hope the whole experience was
Informative, funny, quirky. If you don't like it, you know what? Either way, just leave a comment. If you didn't like it, comment too. We won't hold
let
that
us
against you.
know. You're not gonna hurt our feelings. Thick skin like lizards.
Like lizards. How about why not a walrus?
Just as good. Or why not a Kong?
Why not
Just
a
as
Kong? Just as good.
Mm-hmm.
Like my friend's got a layer about an inch thick of hair. He calls it his mosquito netting.
No.
Nothing can get through that.
Yeah. Remember, metal heart.
Metal heart.
Make sure you have a metal heart.
Always got to have a metal heart.
Mm.
Because if not, people
You
cut
can't
you.
go through this life without not having a metal heart, because you have to.
Because it hurts too much otherwise.
And if you're not armed, consider.
Just consider, whether there was a couple dozen food processing plants that burned down, prices are about to go up, not everybody's going to be able to afford food. Consider arming yourself, growing a garden.
We think back, we remember Jeff Henneman, the
Yes,
members of Slayer,
all of Slayer.
all the great stuff he gave.
May they rest in peace, and they may rest in retirement. Unless I want to get angry and get back on the road, that's good too.
Yeah.
Once again, our social media accounts and complaints, concerns, emails,
Don't be shy. Send it in. If you don't know how to spell it, just draw pictures.
Yeah, we work with pictures too. I read hieroglyphs. And chicken scratch too.
Or if you can't draw, or if you can't write, make a video.
Yeah, that'll work too.
Make a TikTok.
We should make some kind of competition. Who can make the best, funniest video, and then we'll play it on here.
Yeah, there you go.
Maybe get a.
So we liked how the difference of the dress between now and 100 years ago. A lot of good stuff. I don't know. You know?
Well, yeah. How about that? Everybody, or not everybody, whoever wants to send a picture or video of yourself and your best antiquated dress. We'll consider a little bit of a cosplay around here.
I don't like hats. Certain hats. They don't look good. I don't like it. Hey, consuming humans. How about some chili? They should retry that again. Don't forget. Depression and addiction.
Yes.
Reach out to someone if you need help.
We're depressed. This has to end, and we're addicted to some meat. So we'll see what I can go char up on the grill.
Yummy.
Unos cecitos. So.
That does sound good. Silo Sabin, who knew Oregon, huh? Hello, Oregon.
Hello, Oregon. Oh man, did you get that picture I sent you yesterday about the biggest organism?
I gotta look back. No, I don't think I did.
Let me see. While mostly fleshy mushrooms emerge from mycelium and reproduce in a few days, now mycelium from which they arise can live for decades to hundreds of years. The largest known organism on Earth is a mycelial mat of honey mushrooms in eastern Oregon. 890 hectares, or is more than 2,000 years old.
Yes. I forgot. Yes.
You're living on an entity.
That's right. I just gotta get in the car and go for a cruise. All right, Kong and the Walrus Show. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
Thank you.
Edition. Thank you.
And thank you for all those who supported us buying our merch. Thank you very much. And we'll see you out there.
Keep it coming. We appreciate all the support.
Yes, thank you.
All right, kids. Kong and the Walrus Show. Until next time.
Peace.